Hi everyone, welcome to Beautiful British English. My name is Paul, I'm your teacher. Today I'm going to share with you some easy ways to fix 5 common vocabulary mistakes. Welcome back. So I'm going to share with you some easy ways to fix some very common vocabulary mistakes that I hear a lot of you guys make. And the first one is this word here, moreover. A lot of you guys, it's very common for people from Italy, from Spain, from other Spanish-speaking parts of the world, perhaps Germans and also French people, okay, to use this word, moreover. It's a conjunction and it's generally used to add extra details or add extra information to what you're saying when you're perhaps coming to a conclusion or trying to add supporting evidence. The only problem with this word is native English speakers very rarely use it. I can't think of a time in my life when I've ever used this word myself, but I hear it on a daily basis from my students. It's in, I think it's in all of the books that you guys have bought. It's one of the pieces of vocabulary and everyone thinks it's a great word. But unfortunately, and I give this advice to all of my students, it really isn't a great word to use. It's, I don't know, it's old-fashioned, it's out of date, and you shouldn't be using it. It just doesn't sound natural, okay? So, let's take a look at some alternatives. Now, there are formal and there are informal alternatives. Now, depending on what you're doing, if you're writing, perhaps besides, furthermore, in addition, or even additionally, would be great formal alternatives for your writing, if you're writing reports, preparing for your IELTS, etc. In a formal presentation, these words might be appropriate as well. But in your speech, and especially say in your IELTS speaking test, you want to use informal conjunctions. So what's more, on top of that, over and above, these are 3 great alternatives to use in your speaking. Don't use moreover anymore. Our second commonly misused word is this word here, concept. And I hear a lot of you guys using it to talk about sort of updates to things at work, or technology or improvements to things, which yes, it kind of can be used to describe those things, but not really. Yeah. What the word concept actually means is a plan or an idea, or perhaps even an intention. So if you're talking about planning to do something, you plan something, you have an idea and you plan and you intend to do something, that can be described as a concept. It doesn't exist anywhere except perhaps in your head, or perhaps, on a piece of paper where you've created your plan. Okay. But if you're talking about sort of improving things, you can have a plan to improve things. So your concept is a plan or an idea to make things better, but it's only the plan or the idea. It's not actually describing making things better. Concept is only describing your plan to do something, not actually doing something, if that makes sense to you guys. Now, our third phrase or piece of vocabulary is something that has become very relevant during recent times, and it's smart working, or sometimes people call it the home office. Now, smart working, smart working just doesn't sound right to native English speakers. Let me try and explain why. Okay, so smart means intelligent. Smart means describes somebody who is intelligent. Okay. Now we have things like smartphones and we have smart cars. Almost any kind of new technology today is either smart or it has an I, like the iPhone. Okay. So what that is describing with smart is something that is intelligent. Your smartphone can do lots of intelligent things. Yeah. Smart cars, cars that are intelligent to drive, that they can drive themselves. You don't need to drive. Okay. But smart working is a correct phrase, but the way it's used by most people is just wrong. Smart working means working intelligently, doing it better. What most of you guys actually mean when you talk about smart working is simply you're at home. You're working from home rather than working in the office where you would normally go. Okay, so a home office, okay, is kind of like an okay phrase. I am working in my home office. But I would actually say a more natural way to say this is my office at home. Yeah. Now, when I am talking about working from home or smart working, these are the two most commonly used phrases that you will hear native English speakers use. They'll say, no, I am working from home, or I am remote working. Now, these two phrases can mean exactly the same thing, but they can also mean different things. Working from home is obvious. You are at home, yeah? Maybe you're in your kitchen and you're working in your kitchen, or perhaps you have a dedicated office at home, a home office, where you can work from home, yeah? Whereas remote working the word remote just means you are not in a central location. So remote working can involve working anywhere. Okay, so for example, a lot of my students, so workers, maybe engineers or technicians, and they have to travel from where they are based, perhaps to a customer site, okay, or perhaps even to a location where perhaps you have some industrial equipment that's installed in the middle of nowhere, you know, at the top of a mountain, and you have to travel to that location to work. That is remote working. Remote just means you are not centralised. Okay? You can remote work from home because at home you are not centralised. But remote working has a slightly different meaning usually from working from home. So think about it. Describe yourself as working from home or remote working. Don't use smart working anymore, okay? It doesn't sound natural. Now, another phrase which, because of this sort of virus situation where people have been forced to sort of stay at home, another phrase that has become very common for people around the world to use is to talk about short time. And this is a phrase that I've heard quite commonly, quite often, to hear people describing how they are not working the same number of days or the same number of hours as they regularly would be. And this is started to be described as being short time or short time work. And again, I think this is perhaps just a bad translation from one language to another. And it doesn't really quite work in English. Let me just, in terms of short, okay, so here is a person who is tall, here is a person who is short. So short is a word that describes not necessarily less or fewer, but it describes the difference. Okay, the difference in these two guys, okay, is here to here. This is the difference. Okay, this guy, okay, is shorter than this guy, or this guy is taller than this guy. Yeah, so that's kind of what short is describing. Now, instead of saying short time, okay, alternatives which are more natural, and the best one as far as I'm concerned would be part-time. So instead of saying, I know you might describe it, because of this COVID virus, I'm only working part-time, maybe 2 days a week. Or I'm working shorter hours every day. Instead of going in 9 until 5, I go in at 9 and leave at 12. So that's shorter hours. So these are two better alternatives to saying short time. They're more precise in terms of describing what you're trying to describe, and they're more natural as well. Okay, so no more short time. You're either working shorter hours or part time. So our final common error, this is common error number 5, okay, is this night. Now, I think it's quite easy and obvious why lots of you use this night. And this night is usually used mistakenly to either describe the night that is in front of you, so the night that is coming next, or the night that has just gone. Yeah, and I understand because in English we do talk about this morning. Now this morning can be a present time or a past time. When I talk about this morning, if it is still morning, I'm talking about the present. But if it's like late into the evening and I say, well, this morning, I'm actually describing the past. Okay, so I can understand how this night might sound right, but it doesn't. Again with this afternoon, if it is, it's now afternoon, so this afternoon, I am recording a video. Now, with this afternoon, I could also use this afternoon to describe the future. So if it was, let's say it was 9 AM in the morning, I might say, well, this afternoon, I will be recording a video. And I can also use this afternoon to talk about the past. So if it's late in the evening, this afternoon I recorded a video. Yeah. Same with this evening. Okay. This evening can be describing the future, or it can be describing the present. Okay. I can't be describing the past with this evening because this evening is the end of the day. Okay. So these are all correct expressions. This morning, this afternoon, and this evening. This night is wrong. And what you have to, why this night just doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right in the English language. That's why we have two alternatives. So we have tonight. Tonight, okay, is the future. Tonight, I don't know, I'm going to sleep well, I think. I hope I will sleep well tonight. That's the future. But we also need to sometimes describe the past, but not the distant past, literally the past of last night, the night before, and we use last night. So this is describing the past. Tonight, in the future, last night, the past. Okay. Whereas a lot of you guys try and use this night to talk about the past and the future. It's wrong as a phrase in general, but it doesn't actually describe anything. Yeah? So remember, tonight for the future, last night for the past. Okay, so there are your 5 commonly found vocabulary mistakes. As always, if you have any comments, questions, please contact me, leave a comment below this video.